What good is turning 60, 70, or 80 if you are still obeying the same chains that stole your peace at 30? It is not age that makes you bitter. It is what you still allow. The need to be liked, the automatic guilt, the resentment you keep as if it were an inheritance, the people who drain your energy, the clutter shouting at you from the drawers. Calm does not appear when you add more things to your life. It appears when you finally dare to remove what does not belong. Stay with me. Gabriel here. Welcome to the Stoic Garden. Today we are going to pull out several specific burdens that have clung to you like dust and that by now no longer have any right to keep ruling you. When we are done, you will have a mental and practical reset, a clear standard for deciding what stays and what goes, and a lightness you can even see on your face. And yes, that last one is what gives you back control from the inside out. Let us begin. 1. Get rid of the need for approval and stop living to please others, because this is not some social habit. It is a cage, and the most dangerous part is that it comes disguised as good manners, as I am easygoing, as I would rather not cause problems. That is a lie. A lot of the time it is pure fear. Fear of being judged, fear of being rejected, fear of being looked at as if you were doing something unforgivable just for choosing yourself. The trap is silent. You think you are being a good person, but in reality, you are bargaining away your dignity in installments. You say something and then scan yourself inside to see whether it sounded okay. You make a decision and wonder whether it will bother someone. You set a boundary and feel guilty, as if taking care of yourself were a crime. And without noticing, you end up living like a guest in your own life, asking permission to exist. And here comes the reality check. Approval is shaky ground. Today they applaud you. Tomorrow they criticize you. Today you are such a good person. Tomorrow you have changed so much. Same people, same performance, but you are the one paying for the ticket with your peace. And the worst part is that the more you chase it, the more it slips away, because neediness shows. People can smell emotional hunger, and when they smell it, they do not respect you more. They test you more. Look at how it works. Every time they see you are willing to adjust yourself, someone stretches a little further. One little favor, one exception, one late-night call, one act of disrespect, with no bad intentions. And you swallow it because you have been trained not to make anyone uncomfortable. But life does not reward the person who erases themselves. Life uses them, then leaves them wondering why nobody values them. The question that can save you is uncomfortable, but it is the right one. What are you buying with that automatic yes? Because you are not buying love. You are buying temporary silence. You are buying the hope that no one gets upset. You are buying the chance that no one gives you a dirty look. And that discount always turns out to be incredibly expensive. You pay for it with exhaustion, with resentment, with that feeling that you betrayed yourself yet again. Ralph Waldo Emerson said it perfectly in a line that works like a hammer. Greatness consists in being serene amid the changing judgment of the crowd. That is it, calm in the face of judgment, because the crowd changes its mind like the weather changes, and you cannot keep bending your spine every time the wind blows. The antidote is not becoming cold or bitter. It is becoming clear. Clear about what you accept. Clear about what you do not negotiate. Clear about what you no longer do just to please people. If someone is uncomfortable because you choose yourself now, let them be uncomfortable. You did not reach this stage of life to keep performing so other people can feel comfortable. And no, you do not have to announce it or write a manifesto. What is strongest does not need a speech. You can see it when you stop justifying yourself for everything, when you stop over-explaining, when you stop laughing at weak jokes just to fit in, when you stop saying yes, of course, out loud while inside you are screaming no. That is when the dynamic changes. Some people adjust, others leave, and either way, it is a gain. Because when you let go of the need for approval, something priceless appears. Inner silence, space, rest. And in that rest you realize another truth. It was not only approval that was stealing your peace, it was also everything you were storing inside as if it was some dark treasure. And that brings us to the next poison. 2. Let go of resentment and stop reliving offenses that are already over. Because resentment is not memory. It is an emotional electric chair that you switch on yourself every single day. The offense happened once. Resentment turns it into a routine. And once your mind gets used to it, it does not even ask anymore. It drags you back to the scene, sits you down, turns off the lights, and starts the movie all over again. And here is the most twisted part. The more you repeat it, the more convincing it feels. You tell yourself it is justice, that it is dignity, that it is not letting it slide. But dignity does not live in the past. Dignity lives in what you do today. Resentment, on the other hand, is the habit of going back to the place where you were hurt just to prove to yourself that it still hurts, as if pain were some kind of proof of loyalty to yourself. Some people become professionals in this prison. They tell you what was done to them 10 years ago with the same fresh anger, the same details, the same tightness in the jaw. And you can see it clearly. They are not remembering. They are living there. They are still arguing with someone who is no longer there, still waiting for an apology that will probably never come, still rehearsing the perfect line they should have said. And what do they gain? Nothing. They just train themselves in bitterness. When you catch yourself falling into that inner monologue, ask the question that breaks the spell: who are you punishing with this? Because most of the time the other person is fine, eating dinner, sleeping, living their life. And you are the one paying the bill every day. You are the one carrying the weight, the one losing energy, the one waking up with that iron taste in your throat. And be careful. Letting go is not the same as justifying it. It is not denying what was done to you. It is not becoming naive. Letting go means refusing to turn that damage into your identity. It means accepting that what happened may be a scar, but not a chain. Some people cling to resentment for one embarrassing reason. They think that if they let it go, the other person wins. And that logic is childish. Nobody wins when you are still sick inside. Nobody. The real move, the one that truly sets you free, is this: accepting that you may never get what your ego demands. There will not always be closure. There will not always be recognition. There will not always be outside repair. And even so, you can still close the door from the inside. You can say, enough, this is where my mind stops with this. Not because the other person deserves it, but because you deserve silence. Make it practical. When the memory shows up, do not feed it. Do not turn it into a full movie with dramatic music and extra dialogue. Name it and cut it off. This is resentment. Breathe. Come back to the present. If there is a real action to take, take it. Create distance, speak clearly, make a concrete decision. But if there is no action possible, then all you are doing is chewing glass out of habit. And you already know how that ends: bleeding inside, smiling outside. And when resentment starts to loosen its grip, a brutal clarity appears. You start seeing honestly who is close to you out of affection and who is close out of habit, self-interest, or simple wear and tear. And that brings the next step, the one that is hard for many people because it is not socially nice, but it is clean. Cutting off relationships that drain you and disrespect you. 3. Cut off relationships that drain you and disrespect you. And yes, I said cut off, because there are relationships that will not be fixed by talking it through for the 10th time. There are people who come into your life as if your peace were a public service, as if your time were on clearance, as if your patience had no limit. They come to unload on you, to criticize, to ask, to invade, and when you need something, they disappear with an elegance that is almost offensive. By now, you should have one truth tattooed on your forehead. Not everyone who knows you wants what is best for you, and not everyone who smiles at you respects you. Some relationships keep you trapped in an old role: the available one, the understanding one, the one who always forgives, the one who swallows what they feel. And when you try to step out of that role, they get upset. Not because you have changed for the worse, but because the version of you that suited them is no longer available. The question that helps you find your way is simple and brutal. How does your body feel after being with that person? Not your mind, your body. Do you feel lighter when they leave, or does your chest stay tight as if you had just worked a double shift? Because the body does not argue. The mind invents excuses, puts makeup on things, builds speeches. The body gives you the verdict without poetry. Seneca said it with a coldness that sounds like medicine today. Associate with those who make you better, and welcome those whom you can make better. That is not elitism, it is hygiene. Your environment trains you. If you surround yourself with people who mock your boundaries, diminish you, use you, what do you think happens? You shrink by repetition. You get used to what is mediocre. And then you wonder why you feel dimmed. And no, this is not about becoming cruel. It is about becoming sober-minded. There is a huge difference between being a good person and being an emotional dumping ground. Sometimes the most dignified form of love is distance. Sometimes respect does not come from "I get along with everyone." It comes from "You do not play with me." Cutting someone off can be clean or gradual. Less access to your life, fewer explanations, less automatic availability, shorter replies. And when it is time to say no, you say it like someone closing a door without slamming it. No show, no drama, no endless apologies. Because the person who gets angry when you set a boundary was almost always enjoying the benefits of you not having one. And when you start letting go of the people who drain you, something curious happens. The outside noise fades. And then another noise appears, one that had been hiding underneath the chaos. Comparison. That silent competition that steals your peace even though no one asked you to join it. 4. Stop comparing yourself and switch off that silent competition in your head. Because comparison is not healthy ambition, it is torture in a necktie. It makes you live looking sideways, measuring your life by someone else's ruler, as if there were some universal standard for where you should be at this age. And of course, there is always someone younger, stronger, more successful, more well-traveled, more cheerful in a carefully edited and retouched photo. The most absurd part is that comparison is always rigged. You compare your behind the scenes to someone else's trailer. You compare your real exhaustion to their display window. You compare your doubts to their pose. And then you sit there feeling like less, as if it were some moral duty. Do you see the deal you are making? Your self-esteem works overtime for a boss who does not even pay you. And when that poisonous phrase shows up, "I should be doing better," cut it off immediately with a question that brings you back to solid ground. Better according to whom? According to what script? Because a lot of the time, what you call better is not your desire at all. It is someone else's life pasted on top of yours like a mask. And living with a mask is not aspiration, it is betrayal. Comparison also has a silent effect that ages you from the inside. It makes you impatient with your own process. It steals your gratitude for what you have built. It makes you look at your achievements as not much because someone else has more. And that is when you lose your footing. Because when you do not value what is yours, you start chasing things you never even wanted, just so you do not feel behind in an imaginary race. Now listen to this, because it will save you years of anxiety. Your life is not a tournament. No one is going to hand you a medal for beating some imaginary person in your head. The only real competition, the only one that matters, is with yourself. With the version of you from 5 years ago, with your level of calm, with your clarity, with your ability to say no without shaking, with your discipline to take care of yourself when no one is watching. That is what improves you without humiliating you. That is what gives you direction without taking away your dignity. And if you feel that urge to look at the neighbor, the old classmate, the cousin who did better, look for 2 seconds, recognize the impulse, and get back into your lane. Because your lane is yours, your story is yours, your pace is yours. And peace, that peace so many people chase and so few can hold on to, can only be bought with one currency: stop competing where there is no real competition. 5. Clear out the clutter and accumulation that steal your peace and energy, because clutter is not just stuff. It is noise, it is friction. It is a constant reminder of unfinished tasks, guilt, and "I'll deal with it someday." And that someday never comes. But your nervous system does show up every single day, sees that chaos, and goes on alert as if you were living with an alarm constantly blaring. After 60, accumulating by inertia is an elegant way of keeping yourself burdened with useless weight. Drawers full of things you never use, clothes that no longer represent you, papers that no longer mean anything, keepsakes stored out of fear of letting go. And listen, I am not telling you to throw away your history. I am telling you not to turn your home into a warehouse where your peace has to ask permission to come in. And here is the phrase that gives you away: just in case. That "just in case" sounds like prudence, but many times it is anxiety in disguise. So when you are cleaning and your hands are about to put something away again, hit yourself with one simple, brutal question. How many times did I use this in the last year? Am I keeping it because it is useful or because I'm afraid? Because if you are keeping it out of fear, you are not keeping an object. You are keeping a burden. Epictetus said it plainly. No one is free if they are tied to what they own, and that is exactly how it feels. When you have too many things, your things start having you. They take up your time, your mind, your energy. You become the caretaker of junk. And you are no longer at a stage in life where you should be serving your possessions. Your possessions should be serving you. Keep it simple, no drama and no perfectionism. Start small, one table, one drawer, one shelf. Take everything out. Look at each item the way you would look at a guest. Are you here to add something or are you here to get in the way? Keep what you use or what you truly love. The rest is not memory, it is weight. And if throwing something away makes you feel guilty, do not worship that guilt. Guilt is not a sign of value. A lot of the time it is just the habit of not choosing yourself. It is the old program saying, hold on, keep it, do not let go. Well, today you rewrite that program. When you clear things out, something strange happens. You breathe better. You move through your own home with less hurry. The mental noise comes down. Because order is not perfection, order is rest. And when that rest finally appears, it lets you see another kind of disorder, a more serious one, the kind that is no longer in the drawers but in the body. 6. Walk away from habits that quietly harm you. Too much sugar, alcohol, and inactivity. And I am not saying this in the polished voice of some healthy living commercial. I am saying it the way you speak to someone who still has a future, but is bargaining it away in installments. Because at this stage of life, what you do every day matters more than what you promise yourself every Monday. Too much sugar does not just bloat your body, it hijacks your mood. It gives you a high, then a crash, leaves you irritable, leaves you tired, and on top of that convinces you that you need something sweet to feel okay. That is not a need, that is a mild dependency. The kind that looks harmless until you realize your energy no longer belongs to you. Alcohol, which society sells as relaxation, is often just an elegant way of forcing your mind to switch off. A pause button. And the problem with pause buttons is that they charge you interest later. Broken sleep, anxiety the next day, motivation on the floor, and a mental fog that leaves you functioning at half speed. You tell yourself, I deserve it. Your body answers, you're wearing me down. And inactivity, that one is the most deceptive, because it does not shout at first, it does not hurt today, it just slowly steals your mobility, your mood, and your dignity. It takes away your strength, your posture, your drive. And the worst part is that one day you realize you're doing fewer things not because you lack time, but because your body cannot keep up anymore. And that realization stings. When that random afternoon comes, that automatic moment when you pour another drink, reach for another sweet, or sink into the couch for just a little longer, stop for 2 seconds. 2. And ask yourself without dressing it up, is this taking care of me, or is it dimming me? Then ask the question that does not let you off the hook. Is it really pleasure, or is it anesthesia? Because some pleasures leave you more alive, and some pleasures leave you empty, with that strange feeling that you have postponed your own life while keeping yourself entertained. This is not about becoming a monk or living as if you had to punish yourself. It is about taking the wheel back. Less sugar is not sadness, it is clarity. Less alcohol is not boredom, it is deep sleep and a clear mind. Moving your body is not a moral obligation. It is self-respect in motion. Daily walks, light strength work, stretching, whatever your body can handle, but consistently. Consistency changes your mood, your posture, your expression, and yes, it changes the respect you have for yourself. Make it realistic but serious. If you are inactive today, do not demand the life of an athlete from yourself. Demand the life of someone who does not abandon themselves. 10 minutes today, 15 tomorrow, and so on. Reduce what drains you, increase what supports you. And when you hear yourself saying, "What's the point now?" cut it off the way you cut off a lie. That is exactly why. Because you are still here. And being here with quality is not a luxury, it is a daily decision. And when your body starts to wake up, something uncomfortable happens. Your conscience wakes up too. You become aware of everything you have been avoiding saying, everything you have been avoiding deciding. And that brings us to the next point, the one that forces you to stop hiding behind later 7. Stop postponing the conversations and decisions you already know you need to make. Because postponing is not patience. It is cowardice dressed well. It is that polished phrase, "I'm waiting for the right moment," so you do not have to admit the obvious. You are afraid of the collision, and the right moment, surprise, almost never comes. What does come is the bill. The wear and tear comes. That feeling of living with a stone in your shoe while pretending everything is fine comes. Some decisions eat you from the inside because you have already made them in silence. You just have not carried them out. You already know you need to talk to someone. You already know you need to set a clear condition. You already know you need to change direction. But you play distracted. You keep yourself busy with small things so you do not have to touch the big one. And that is how weeks, months, years go by. Then you wonder why you are irritable, why you sleep badly, why your chest feels heavy. Well, it is because you are carrying conversations you have not had. When you hear yourself saying, "I'll deal with it later," stop. Not to analyze it for 3 hours. To face yourself honestly. How many more times are you going to promise yourself the perfect Monday? How many meals, meetings, and nights are you going to get through just fine on the outside while rotting on the inside? Because postponing does not avoid conflict. It foments it. And when it finally explodes, it explodes worse, because by then it is mixed with resentment and exhaustion. Marcus Aurelius spoke to himself like a man with no excuses, and that bluntness helps here. Waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one. And being good here does not mean being docile. It means being upright. It means acting once you already know what must be done. It means saying what needs to be said firmly and without venom. It means deciding without the theater. Do it like this. Less speech, more clarity. If it is a conversation, go in with one central point and say it plainly, without beating around the bush, but without humiliating anyone. If it is a decision, choose and accept the cost, because everything has a cost, even not choosing. In fact, not choosing usually costs more. It is just charged in installments: daily anxiety, low energy, broken patience, squeezed dignity. And when you finally stop postponing, something simple and powerful happens. A weight lifts off you. You recover mental space, and that space finally lets you see the real reason you kept postponing so much. It was not lack of time. It was fear. Fear of what people will say, and that takes us straight to the next point. 8. Let go of the fear of what people will say and act with dignity at this stage of life. Because what will people say is an invisible master. It does not pay you, care for you, or save you, but it still controls you. It tells you how to dress, what to keep quiet about, whose disrespect to tolerate, which decision is best so you do not stir up dust. And there you are obeying as if your life belonged to the neighborhood, the family, the old group, to the people who speak loudly but live timidly. I am telling you this bluntly. Past 60, still being shaped by other people's opinions is like owning your own house and asking permission to sit in your own living room. It is ridiculous. And still it happens because people get used to fitting in, to not making anyone uncomfortable, to not making waves. Meanwhile, life gets shorter. Not because you are being dramatic, because it literally does get shorter, and there you are walking around with the parking brake on so nobody gets upset. The fear of what people will say betrays you in small things, and when they pile up, they become a whole life. You do not do what you want because it will look bad. You do not set boundaries because they will think you have become harsh. You do not change direction because what are they going to say now? And here comes the slap that wakes you up. People talk anyway. If you act, they talk. If you do not act, they talk. If you improve, they talk. If you stay stuck, they talk. So if they are going to talk anyway, let them talk while you live. Dignity at this stage is not about fighting the world. It is about stopping the begging for permission. It is walking with steady calm. It is saying yes to this and no to that without your voice shaking. It is dressing the way you feel, not the way the gossip committee feels. It is making decisions that respect you, even if they make other people uncomfortable with this new version of your character. And pay attention to this turn because it matters. When you let go of what people will say, you do not become selfish. You become an adult. An adult is not looking for approval on every corner. An adult looks in the mirror and asks whether they are treating themselves with respect. Because in the end, when the outside voices go quiet, all that is left is you with yourself. And if you do not respect yourself, nobody is going to do it for you. So the next time you feel that sting of, what if they talk? Answer yourself coldly. Let them talk. I do not live on applause, I live on peace. And that peace is built on one thing, sustained dignity, even when it is not popular. 9. Eliminate self-sabotage and speak to yourself like someone you want to protect. Because in the end, the most constant enemy is almost never outside. It is inside. It is your own voice using your name, acting like judge, executioner, and prophet of disaster. The voice that whispers, it's too late, it's not worth it anymore, you're not one of those people, better not even try. And the worst part is not that it shows up. The worst part is that you give it authority, as if it had the right. Self-sabotage does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it is small, daily, and apparently harmless. Leaving for tomorrow what would give you peace today. Dropping an idea right when it starts to work. Starting with enthusiasm, then quietly giving up so you do not have to risk failing in front of anyone. And yes, it is a cowardly mechanism, but an intelligent one, because it disguises itself as caution when what it really is fear of being exposed. So you become your own limit, not because you cannot do it, but because you talk to yourself as if you were incapable. You treat yourself the way you would treat someone you despise. You correct yourself with humiliation. You push yourself with guilt. You punish yourself for old mistakes as if you were still serving a sentence. And then you expect to have energy, desire, hope. Of course, how are you supposed to be hungry for life when inside you are constantly beating yourself down? When you hear yourself saying, I'm a mess, or this always happens to me, stop. Not to pretend to be zen, to notice the abuse, because that is what it is, inner abuse. And ask yourself a question that leaves you with no excuses. If your best friend, your child, or someone you say you love talk to themselves like that every day, would you allow it? Would you say, yes, you're right, you're a lost cause? No. So why do you allow it with yourself? There is a cruel irony here. You ask the world for compassion, but with yourself you practice harshness as if it were a virtue. You think speaking to yourself with respect will make you soft. In reality, what makes you weak is being exhausted from fighting yourself on the inside. A mind that insults itself does not build, it survives. And at this stage of life, you do not need to survive anymore. You need to live with direction. Marcus Aurelius wrote it as discipline, not as some pretty quote. The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. Watch what you allow to live in your mind, because what you repeat inside eventually becomes your world. If you repeat defeat to yourself, you live in defeat. If you repeat contempt to yourself, you live small. So make it practical. This is not about lying to yourself with cheap optimism. It is about speaking to yourself with truth and respect. Replace I can't with this is hard for me, but I can take one step. Replace it's too late with today I can start differently. Replace this is just how I am with this is how I have been, and I can train a different response. Do not argue with the emotion as if it were an enemy. Examine the thought as if it were a visitor. If it does not help you, do not give it a room. And here comes what truly gives you your control back. Start treating yourself like someone in your care, like someone you are teaching to walk steadily. What would happen if you spoke to yourself with the same dignity you want the world to treat you with? Not to indulge yourself, to support yourself, because no one builds anything great from self-contempt. When you cut off self-sabotage, everything else starts to fall into place. Boundaries become easier, the past weighs less, the body responds better, and what will people say fades out like an old radio. Immediate happiness in the end is this: letting go of useless weight and taking back inner command. And now, let us close with what matters most, so this does not end up being just another video you watched and moved on from. In the end, this whole video comes down to one simple and brutal idea. Peace does not come from accumulating things, it comes from removing burdens, and that is why this works. I did not ask you to become someone else. I asked you to stop carrying what will not let you be yourself. When you stop begging for approval, something straightens inside you. When you let go of resentment, your mind stops smelling like the past. When you step away from the people who drain you, you get your oxygen back. When you shut off comparison, you return to your own lane. When you put your space in order, your nervous system gets to rest. When you take care of your body, your mood has ground under it again. When you face what is pending, that knot in your chest starts to go away. When other people's murmuring stops mattering, you walk more firmly. And when you finally speak to yourself with respect, you take back control. And notice this. The world did not change, you changed on the inside. And that is the only kind of happiness that feels immediate, because it does not depend on anyone applauding you. Now take it into your real life today, not someday. Choose one single thing you are going to remove from your life this week, and do it with steady calm, without drama and without permission. A boundary you have been avoiding, a conversation that has already expired, a habit that is charging you interest, a drawer that needs air, an inner voice that needs discipline. You do not need an epic transformation, you need daily consistency, because at this stage every decision is a vote, either for your dignity or for your exhaustion. If this helped you, subscribe to the Stoic Garden so you can keep training this way of living with more calm and more character. And write the channel's phrase in the comments, "I am Stoic," and tell me what country or city you are listening from, because here we are not playing at being perfect. We are building a community of people who are tired of living under the weight of what was never theirs to carry. Gabriel here. This was the Stoic Garden. On the screen you will see 2 recommended videos to continue this process. Choose one and keep moving forward without stopping, because what you do not work on repeats itself. And remember this, with other people you can negotiate many things, but with yourself your dignity is not up for negotiation.